looking for information in their own data rooms. And where that data fragmentation really becomes a cost center is when they go to share that information externally as part of due diligence process, even more extreme than the process that we went through with AngelNV. It leads to months of delays. One executive, senior vice president of M&A processes at one development shop said it takes them 3 weeks in the efforts of 40 people just to assemble a data room. Every month that is delayed results in a 1% loss of net present value. For $100 million projects, that's $1 million lost per month. You might ask me how I know this. In addition to many customer interviews, this has been my life for the last 8 years. For 4 years, I was a broker and advisor to some of the world's largest companies, including Microsoft, General Motors, Home Depot, Starbucks, helping them to acquire renewable energy from wind projects across the globe. The last 3 years, while I was at Stanford Law School, I was the COO of a global solar energy company, acquiring and financing a portfolio of over $40 million of solar projects across the United States. I've been there. And so BuildQ was my solution to my own problem faced and those faced across the energy industry. BuildQ is an AI-powered project intelligence platform streamlining how projects get developed, financed, and sold. We help automate manual processes, reduce risk with AI-assisted due diligence, and close transactions up to 30% faster at 40% less cost. It's pretty easy to use. For developers, it requires only connecting to their existing workplace systems, Google Drive, SharePoint, eventually Salesforce, and email. And then we do the rest. We are focused on equipping stakeholders with the information they need at the right time, the right place in order to drive faster decision-making. What this means are dynamic CRM-based project portfolios, project profiles, AI-assisted due diligence checklists where we automatically populate those checklists with the information from their data rooms, again, thousands of documents. And what it results in is ultimately, 10 minutes is a long time. What it ultimately results in are higher returns, fewer risks, and less time wasted. We can close projects in less than a month. We can do it with lower legal fees. And what we think, given all of these things, these benefits, is that with this indispensable tool across not only energy, but also reaching into real estate infrastructure, basically anywhere where structured finance is utilized with complex project development, that if we capture the law firms, the developers, the capital providers, that this creates an ecosystem. And with that ecosystem, we can begin to monetize every dollar invested across the globe, across infrastructure with BuildQ. Our business model is twofold. We make money on SaaS subscription fees for platform access, and secondly, on arranging services, transaction-based fees, earning us 2% on every transaction that's facilitated through our platform. If there's ever a team to do this, to build this billion-dollar company, it's ours. In addition to my experience and legal backgrounds, I am joined by a fantastic team, including Robert Schmidt, our CTO, Mike Maddox, Eric Rockford, who those three together have already built a billion-dollar tech company from the ground up, sold to Goldman Sachs 2 years ago. The others, Annalisa Swank, has built products generating tens of billions of dollars at some of the world's largest companies, including IBM and Google. And Harshan Jayakumar has worked for 20 years investing in projects at national banks. We're supported by our advisors, Fred Goldberg, former IRS commissioner and IRS chief counsel, as well as of counsel at Skadden, Arps, Meagher, and Flom, and Brett Tackaberry, principal architect of Google Cloud. Don't take my word for it. The numbers speak for themselves. In 9 months, with less than $400,000 invested, we've already sold over 30K of ARR in SaaS revenue before our product was ever launched. We've built a pipeline of $17 million in transaction fees, and actually, as of yesterday, we can tack on another $2 million to that transaction fee pipeline. And we've also established qualified pilot partnerships with some of the world's biggest law firms facilitating these transactions, including Wilson Sonsini, as well as global and publicly traded IPPs. These are developers, independent power producers, utilizing our platform. Today, we offer you the chance to get in on the ground floor of this billion-dollar opportunity. In less than a year, we plan to earn $10 million of revenue. It sounds aggressive, but with our traction, the support, and networks that we're able to leverage with this powerful technology, we'll get there. We're raising a $1.2 million pre-seed and would love to have the AngelNV team on the cap table. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Marissa. All right, next up, Christine and Erica, the founders and co-CEOs of Crenell. So welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christine.
And I'm Erica, and we're the co-founders of Crenell.
So we were both working full-time corporate jobs, and one day I got a UTI in the office.
A UTI is a urinary tract infection. Now, this impacts 60% of women and 30% of men.
And if you've been there, you know the options are grim. You can either take daily huge cranberry pills, sugary cranberry juice, or yet another round of antibiotics. And we knew there had to be a better option.
So we created Crenell, and now we're building a $100 million CPG business. We've proven product market fit, and we are raising capital to continue scaling.
In only 3 years, we have scaled to $3 million in lifetime revenue with 50% recurring subscription and with only 2 employees. We did all this with only 2 employees, and we are just getting started.
So we're building a business in the $150 billion functional wellness space that has a compound growth rate of about 7% per year.
So what is Crenell? It's a single SKU powerhouse, a functional beverage taken weekly. Each shot has 3,000 cranberries and is clinically proven to flush out the bacteria that causes urinary tract infections.
It has 0 added sugar, it's shelf stable, and only 15 calories. We also have exclusivity over our trade secret blend. Our formula is vegan and clinically proven to work.
Our formula is the strongest cranberry drink on the market. We are 10 times stronger than our closest competitor, and it's equivalent to 10 cranberry tablets or 60 gallons of standard cranberry juice in terms of active ingredient. And that's without all the added sugar and all the other junk.
But UTIs are just the call to action. Cranberry clinically supports gut health, is packed with antioxidants for skincare and general health.
Did you know cranberry has more antioxidants than most fruit and vegetables?
And it helps with muscle recovery or soreness after the gym.
Crenell is 12 times stronger than tart cherry juice for muscle recovery.
It's stacked with benefits beyond urinary tract health, and that's what makes our customers take this as a weekly ritual. It has led to over 50% of our revenue coming from subscribers.
The majority of sales come from our website. Our best-selling product is a monthly supply of Crenell. We sell this for $58 or $48 per month when you subscribe. Our product margins are 70% on average, and we are also sold on Amazon, Walmart.com, and Target Plus.
We are building a brand that women trust. Our customers are obsessed with Crenell. We've had over 30,000 customers, a 50% subscription rate, and we have over 137,000 followers and subscribers across social media with over 50 million views.
We've also built amazing brand equity. We have been featured in nationwide publications, including Daily Mail, Elle Magazine, Business Insider, TMZ, and KOL Reno News.
So we started Crenell back in 2020 as a side hustle. Christine and I both had full-time jobs. We were working on Crenell after work, on the weekends, and any spare time we had. We were growing quickly, sold out multiple times, and had rave reviews from our customers. That's when we knew we had to go all in.
So at the end of 2021, we raised a seed round from strategic angel investors and have since grown sales by 30 times with only 2 employees. Our biggest challenge to date has been keeping up with growing demand. We have the infrastructure in place to scale to $5 million this year and beyond, and we're raising to fuel this growth.
We will continue to use the funds the same way we historically have through 40% of it on inventory, 40% on marketing, and 20% on operating costs. We also use inventory financing to supplement our working capital.
So I know what you may all be thinking. Is it possible for a single SKU to scale to $100 million? And the answer is yes, and beyond. These brands are great examples of single SKUs that have scaled, and that results in hyper-focus, cult following, and multi-use cases. WD-40, Red Bull, and our favorite Athletic Greens.
But wait, how many units do we need to hit that goal of a $100 million brand? If we break it down, on average, our average order value is $58. That means to hit $100 million in revenue, we only need 143,000 customers per month.
To put that into perspective, that's only 0.04% of the population. And to bring that example closer to home, Nevada has 3.2 million population. If only 50% of Nevadans purchased Cornell once this year, we would reach our target of 100 million. So no pressure.
Our exit strategy is to scale Cornell to that $100 million mark and exit to an acquire. The CPG category is currently in acquisition mode for data-rich functional brands. The average acquisition multiple in CPG in the space right now is about 5 times. And in the first quarter of this year, the first few months, there have already been 2 acquisitions worth over $1 billion in Alani Nu and Poppy, which just happened to be 2 women-founded functional beverage businesses.
And while Erica and I scaled this business with just the 2 of us, we surround ourselves with people who have done this before, so we can learn from them. Namely, our 2 advisors, Hayden Fulstone, the founder of Liquid IV, which had a $500 million exit to Procter & Gamble, and Adam Trouncer, the former CEO of Athletic Greens, which has a $1.8 billion valuation and scaled to $600 million of revenue.
We were also just selected to join the Bold Beginnings Cohort, an intensive accelerator where we learned from the founder of Smart Sweets, Tara Bosch, and her team. That company sold to private equity in just 3 years for $360 million.
And we are also advised by the former chief of staff to Jennifer Lawrence and Madonna, and we recently received investment from a strategic celebrity via that advisor.
Today, we're raising to continue our growth trajectory of Cornell to fund inventory and fuel our next stage of growth.
We're raising on a safe note with a $10 million cap. So will you join us on our journey to building a $100 million brand?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go Cornell.
All right, everybody's staying right on time, even going a little quicker than expected today. So thank you. Kamel, you are up next. Kamel Green from FiberX. There he is. He's over there before.
I can distinctly remember while working for the National Nuclear Security Administration, there was this continuous emphasis on wanting to understand the structural health monitoring of our critical infrastructure. This is because when critical infrastructure is not adequately monitored, it can prove disasters, ultimately leading to the loss of life, public safety catastrophes, and national security vulnerabilities. And so, uniquely enough, as this technological landscape around us continues to evolve, right? You all are going to hear a lot of information around artificial intelligence. There's an energy demand, rather it's nuclear, rather it's hydrogen, multiple different materials. And so the need to have a 24/7 continuous monitoring infrastructure is not simply a nice to have, it's a necessity. And so here at FiberX, what we're building is a structural health monitoring platform that allows for corrosion detection and 24/7 continuous monitoring. So rather that's offshore turbines, rather that's satellites, rather that's oil and gas pipelines, any critical infrastructure needs to have 24/7 continuous monitoring. And so what's the problem? Well, for starters, the problem is that what's going on right now is that it's way too costly when it comes to trying to monitor and try to keep up with the antiquated, dilapidated infrastructure that's going on. It's a troubling infrastructure. I was just at NASA's facility not too long ago, and it's a huge problem, especially with a lot of the different posturing that's going on, rather fears in the Indo-Pacific and a lot of things that are going on. This is something that's heavily important. And so what are the current standards that's being used? You have 2 different routes. You have sonar, which sonar is a way in which you're essentially trying to detect infrastructure fatigue. However, you have a lot of different issues when it comes to that, rather limited underground and limited in different spaces. In addition to that, you have cathartic method, which is a form of corrosion prevention, but not detection. This is when you're sending electrons, charging the metal, trying to prevent some sense of corrosion. And so what is FiberX? What is our solution? Again, we utilize fiber optics as a sensor-based technology. And so rather that infrastructure rather we label or attach our fiber optics during the manufacturing or post the manufacturing of that critical infrastructure, what we're able to do is we're able to epoxy our fiber optics on that critical infrastructure, and then we test for strain and any type of infrastructure change. And so we're looking for that strain phenomenon, that lurking variable. And so what we're able to do is then wirelessly send that information to an artificial intelligence dashboard, which then talks to essentially administrator, and it shows them through a data visualization dashboard and 3D rendering what's going on with that infrastructure. So if it's a satellite in space, you're able to see where the problems are going on. What makes it unique is this is a non-invasive technology, and I like to emphasize on non-invasive. This means, again, during the manufacturing or after manufacturing, you're able to utilize this technology. And so right here is a quick grid. You can see this airplane, and what you see throughout that airplane is you see different nodes. And so you don't have to put the fiber optics across the whole airplane. You're typically going to put it in the more statistically significant areas, which are typically going to have the most fatigue from a statistical significance standpoint. What we do is we labor those fiber optics throughout that airplane, and then it sends wireless information to that dashboard, which then notifies or keeps that administrator, whoever's behind it, where infrastructure fatigue is going on. There's a signal analysis, and that signal analysis is what's finding that strain phenomenon. And so you're essentially having a benchmark, and when that benchmark doesn't go back to its normal standard, that's when you're able to detect what's going on and where the issue is. And so here's our traction. A lot of times when I talk about FiberX, I like to keep in mind, I like to denote, this is not simply an idea of mine, this is something that's serious. And so right now we currently have a license with the US Navy. And one of the big things when working with this program, one of the things that were pointed out is that there's so many different routes in which we can take, right? Sometimes you can say analysis paralysis because you can go in offshore turbines, you can go in spaceships, you can go satellite, any type of critical infrastructure. And so one of the big things that was pushed is, focusing on that beachhead. And so we did that. And in doing so, we ended up creating more of a relationship with NASA out in Southern California. And so right now we have a pending CRADA. In addition to that, we're working on a SBIR, which is an agreement to work with NASA in that regard. We've also acquired Bowie State, and so we have a MOU with Bowie State where we're working with a SBIR to really understand the edge cloud side of it, as well as the artificial intelligence. And so that's the R&D what's needed, and I'll talk through kind of our go-to-market and why that's all important. In addition to that, we have 2 pilots. So we have Otis LLC, which is an oil and gas pipeline, and then we'll also have a pilot with Israel Aerospace Industries. And so again, this is not something that's a figment of my imagination. This is something that we're actually doing. Right here, when it comes to market size, you always traditionally see a lot of huge numbers. Again, we relegated it down to our beachhead. You're going to write what you have in here is aerospace as well as oil and gas. But again, there's multiple different routes in which you can take, and you can see that with our current traction being distributed in different markets. This is a multi-billion-dollar company. And so here's our roadmap. And so as I just alluded to, we have a partnership with Bowie State University. We're finalizing our version 2. And then we're hoping Q3 of fiscal year 2025 to be working with NASA real time. So right now we're going through really the paperwork process. And then in addition to that, establishing 2 additional partnerships. Our main goal is by Q4 of this year is to be at just over $2 million in annual recurring revenue. What makes this product unique is that closing simply 1 or 2 deals already puts you in that category. And so we're hoping to be profitable by the end of this year as well. How do we make money? Again, this is a structural health platform as a service. And so this is multi-annual contracts. The big thing is this is a sticky solution. And so not only is the growing technological change needed for something like this, even the older infrastructure is needed for something like this. So this is something that's going to be here for a very, very long time. And as the energy demands continues to increase, as we start to talk more about nuclear and critical infrastructure, our critical materials, this is something that's very much needed. And so here's our team. Again, I'm a 2-time founder. My first company, we sold to government, so I have a background of selling to government. In addition to that, I've done the 0 to 1 process. I've raised capital. I've also worked in the National Nuclear Security Administration, which helps me understand and have the unique requirements to navigate that arena. I have my master's in public administration, which really helped me to understand the governmental process. But then our team is really uniquely positioned to be able to scale in this arena. You have Carson, who's our mechanical engineer. In addition to that, you have Armin, who's actually the inventor out of the U.S. Navy. Other than that, what you really see here is you see a team that's focused on sales. A lot of times when you look up deep tech or dual use solutions, what I like to denote before I conclude is this is a solution that's not just the public sector, but also the private sector as well. So this is what you call a dual use solution. So not just relegated to DoD contracts and things like that. We actively have pilots in the private sector. But what you see is you see Tremaine, you see Julius. The reason why our team is focused on sales is because one of the big things that I do see around deep tech or critical technology is this analysis paralysis, or you get a lot of engineers that's behind kind of trying to build this type of company. This team is focused on establishing a first mover advantage in this market so that we can take over this market and really be able to acquire a lot of different companies and hopefully be a multi-billion-dollar company within the next 2 years. And that's what our pathway is for. Again, here's our advisory board. We've strategically chose our advisory board in different arenas, which helps us be able to leverage their relationships, but also understand the unique avenues in which we need to take to scale within those arenas. Where we are right now is we're asking for $1 million. We currently have $200,000. We have $500,000 that's soft circled that we're in diligence for right now. But what you see right here is the bulk of our distribution is going to be towards sales. Again, we have a licensed technology. It's exclusive in the realm in which we're working in. So we're defensible. We're really trying to establish that first mover advantage and take over this industry and take over this market. Again, my name is Kamel Green. Thank you for this whole program, and I'm excited to answer any questions that you all have. Appreciate it.
Wow. Boy, investors are going to have a really hard time. And we've only heard 3. So Casper Sogard with Magic Door is up next. Casper, come on up.
Hello, everybody. I'm Casper Sogard. I'm the founder and CEO of Magic Door. So Magic Door is redefining property management with a new business model that eliminates SaaS fees and instead monetize the untapped ecosystem around property managers instead. Property managers are a low margins business that already pays roughly about 12% of the revenue to SaaS fees. And half the market of property managers don't even have any options today of software. Property managers, however, are the gatekeepers of a very profitable ecosystem of vendors, owners, and tenants that can easily be monetized instead. Property managers are limited by human resources today. The industry experiences high churn with an average tenure of property manager being close to 1 year. It takes about 3 months today to train people how to use the current systems. So that's a big time. Property managers can often find more properties to grow their portfolio, but they can't hire enough people to manage it. They are currently trying to solve this issue by coupling together multiple costly software solutions, many of which are priced out from anybody but the biggest property managers in the field. But the coupled together solutions don't work. They create extra cost and complexities for the users, as each system is so hyper-specialized and the work that property managers do is spread across many multiple software systems. It just ends up with a property manager have to manually sit and babysit all the softwares and move data manually between software to software, causing a lot of errors. And a new term popping up in the industry right now is called app fatigue. So people are aware about this. This is where Magic Door comes in. Magic Door is the first true agentic AI solution that's able to do end-to-end automation for property managers. Magic Door would be able to automate 80% of all the work that property managers do today, leaving them more time to focus on better tenant relations and growing their portfolios. For the customers already on Magic Door, we are already automating 44% of all maintenance requests and 30% of all tenant communication. And those are the 2 biggest time sinks for property managers. Our AI is able to handle maintenance requests from end to end. We are able to triage the issue with tenants. We're able to find the right vendors. We're able to coordinate the repair between the vendors and tenants. And we're able to gather all the required information from the vendors afterwards. Up until now, we've been focused on building our core functionalities out and automating for property managers, which brings users to our platform. As we're building a platform and not a point-to-point solution, there's quite a few different projects we build out, as you guys can see. But all of those are necessary to achieve our vision. With this funding round, we build out the systems that sit on top of our core systems that we'll be able to start monetizing this ecosystem, such as insurance services and vendor billing. We have calculated our total TAM to be about $500 billion, but this is not even the full potential of this ecosystem. We could give Google a run for the money with the ways that we can monetize this. Scale is more important for us than trying to extract as much out of each individual property manager. The industry standard right now sits between $8 to $13 per unit in revenue per month. With Magic Door and our business model, we can make up to $120 per unit per month without charging property managers a single cent. So only if we achieve only 10% of our TAM, we will still be bigger than the biggest player in the market, which is worth $8 billion right now. Magic Door is way ahead of our competitors with our AI models. Most haven't even started yet, and the ones there are held back by the tech stack and the revenue models, making it impossible for them to catch up. Magic Door has been live for a little over 3 months, and this slide is about a month old, so the data is not 100%. As of right now, we are hitting all our projections and overachieving on them. We're hitting 161% month-over-month growth in users, and we have so far onboarded 1,528 units and have roughly 3,000 units currently being onboarded. We have an impressive 45% demo conversion rate, 0% churn, and an acquisition cost of only $11 per unit. So even if you only achieve 10% of our TAM, we are profitable within 1 month of onboarding that unit. Property managers choose Magic Door because we eliminate 40% of the work for them. Not only that, but 32 million out of 51 million units in America today is managed by property managers with under 100 units. And for them, using software is out of the question, it's too expensive. So Magic Door opens up for them to actually start using software. Our ecosystem will create a flywheel where property managers bring in more vendors, and almost vendors bring in more property managers. And the same thing goes for our owners. We have changed the roadmap a little bit since I created this slide. We are actually starting out in Q3 of this year. We will launch a referral model for insurance services for tenant insurance. But then we will continue by launching our vendor marketplace, followed by full insurance model, which includes vendors and owners insurances as well. We're raising $4 million to build out our ecosystem and promote it, and then to start building out our revenue generating components over the next 2 years. Magic Door is built by a tech powerhouse and is already funded by vendor capital and property managers who see the vision. So thank you very much, and come and be part of the magic.
Thanks, Casper. Okay, Val, there he is in the back. So Val Torneo from Me Organics is going to tell us about Me Organics.
Thank you, Jeff. Ladies, gentlemen, everyone, thank you for being here today. My name is Val, and I'm here to tell you about Me Organics. So Me Organics is a custom software development company, and our flagship product, XP Maps, has offered a solution to permitting services in the US. We are talking about oversize and overweight permitting in the US. While XP Maps solves the part of difficulties for the motor carriers, the permitting is still being slowed down by massive fragmentation in compliance across the market. Currently, in the US, we have 4 major DOT permitting service providers. There are 8 DAY permitting service solutions, and honestly, 50 states of confusion. More than 70% of oversize and overweight violations happen due to inconsistent regulations across the states, and not due to drivers being reckless. In some states, not saying which one exactly, processing permit is being stuck in the fax machine era in 2025. Just imagine that. Now, that's where MEO steps in. While XP Maps solves permitting for the motor carrier side, Me Organics empowers DOT and state authorities with their granular control over their own permitting solutions. What that means, you have faster moving freight, you have fewer violations, and you have real-world impact. It's less wasted fuel, less wasted time, and safety elevated for everyone in the industry. Now, our product, XP Maps, it just works. You need to estimate the cost, you need to confirm the details, and you can send in the order across all 50 states. No more guesswork, it's just green lights from here on. Now, the business model is next. DOT processing system for each state costs on average $1.5 million. Maintenance for that system is up to $20,000 per month. Now, Me Organics has developed a standard solution that fits your need or specific requirements in order to bring this processing time next to instant for most of the loads. Our target market. Annually, trucking industry generates around $1 trillion in carrying goods services. Now, 5% out of those is called special haul cargo types. That's our SAM. We plan to get $10 million in profit in the next 3 years by offering the permitting solutions to the DOTs. Now, our team is not just an outsourced development team, it's an in-house crew. We are logistics tested, it's a full stack, and my guys are battle experienced. The best thing to point here is that we have a focus group where we have a couple of motor carriers with larger than average fleet size. I'm talking hundreds of trucks and trailers. Sorry, no competition. While our competitors can take up to 24 hours to fully process and analyze an oversized multi-state trip, we do it in minutes with real-time compliance. So it's about the time saved in the industry. We are looking for $500,000 to scale. That means Me Organics is going to each DOT and it becomes an industry or compliance standard. Our progress. In 2023, we built it. In 2024, we proved it works. For 2025, we are scaling it. In 2026, we will be dominating it. We are not just talking scale, we are scheduling it. Now, we are not pitching a dream. We are scaling something that currently works. XP Maps is the engine. Me Organics is the framework. 50-state DOT multiplier, that's an opportunity. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Val. The trucking industry seems to keep getting bigger every year. We had somebody here last year, it was 800 billion. Now it's 980 billion. Wow. Okay, so I think I have not seen Rich from Waiver, right? Is Rich here? Yeah, no. Okay. Great. So then Denise from DEA, you will be our final presenter today. Denise, where are you? I saw you here. There she is. Oh.
Hi, I'm here today joined with my CIO, Alvin McClurkin, as well. Oh, okay, cool. In 2010, when Uber came to market, its stakeholders and founders had no idea just how massive it would be. They were coming into an archaic and old market and brought ease, convenience, and accessibility to everyone. Just like Uber, DEA has made a massive unlock into a market that has been old and loaded with money, the hospitality uniform industry. Today, Alvin and I are here to tell you about a journey and a story of ultimate potential. We have discovered an industry that is just so old and hungry for change. And we've actually already gotten started with some of the biggest logos on the strip. We're already selling into MGM, Caesars, and more. I'm Denise Foley, founder and CEO of DEA.
And I'm Alvin McClurkin, CIO of DEA.
Before we go into our pitch, I want to lay the landscape for you so we're all crystal clear on what our business is. DEA creates superior performance hospitality uniforms. We are sustainable. Our pattern maker, which is like the architect for Blueprint, created Beyonce's Homecoming collection, used to work for Zsa Zsa Gabor, and many, many more. In addition to the uniforms, we are going to be creating an AI platform. This AI platform will completely disrupt how buyers are procuring their uniforms and also the back end of the supply chain. And here you can see some of the new uniforms that will be at Marquee at the Cosmopolitan this summer that we created. I have mentioned it already, but the uniform industry is so old. I actually started my company 4 years ago as a specialty luxury swimwear and resort wear line, serving an underserved market. Prior to starting the company, I spent over 20 years in global B2B partnerships. So one of my geniuses is understanding strategic business and also speaking to the client needs. Last year, I went on a trade show that was very exclusive, where we spoke with the corporate decision makers from Accor Group, who owns the Fairmont and Sofitel, Soho House, and many, many more. Every single head of operations asked me if we could create uniforms. So of course, I said yes. After we made this unlock, we've discovered that there is just a huge amount of pain points in this industry, from ill-fitting uniforms, but also next slide. Just how long the process takes to create custom things. Here you see a snapshot of a mood board. This is for a new club opening up at the MGM this summer, where we are also doing all of the custom uniforms. The way this works is first the client comes to me with their needs and also some renderings of what the club's going to look like. We need to make ownership happy, so we have to speak to that vision. There's a lot of back and forth meetings, and this is just 1 or 2 slides from the mood board that we did, which was very long. Slide. From there, we create the final designs. This is also just some of the designs, which we had a lot more, but this also takes a lot of iterations. To make these designs come to life, I had to go to LA 3 times. I had to hire a designer, pay her over $6,000, and of course it was well worth it. But there's also lots of back and forth with the client. What type of material do we want to use? Will ownership like it? And much more. This is where Dea AI comes in.
So for the solution, as you see, Data AI is proposed and set to cut down the procurement process by 90% in time. So traditional current process right now takes up to over 100 days just for the back and forth that Denise mentioned. You have to get multiple iterations on the designs, get approval, get the actual testing and the drafts out and get people to wear them, present them to management, and then get the procurement process going. With Data AI, we're going to use a generative AI solution especially for phase 1. It'd be a unique user experience where in real time they can describe what they're looking for. We can have those mock data, present those out right there while that first meeting, so it eliminates that back and forth. But also, and at the same time, it procured that procurement process of just getting that customer buy-in right then and there, and basically cutting out 2 or 3 different positions, from the designer to manufacturing
and the pattern maker. And even after today, I'm actually going to this client so we can continue to finalize this project, just because we have to get everything right since the club's opening soon. And here's our product roadmap. I shared with you all how the company originally started as a specialty luxury swimwear and resort wear line focused on B2B partnerships with some of the largest resorts in the world. Last quarter, we made this unlock into the uniform industry.
And so with that unlock 2025, well, we'll get to the numbers, but so it has been massive potential, has been already massive success through the first quarter of 2025. With this seed round that we're looking to raise, we're going to roll out phase 1 of Data AI, and that's the generative AI solution, real language, real natural language, where you're able to describe what you want, what you need, and we can be able to get those renderings, mock-ups right then and there. This allows us to move fast and agile, unlike the big box companies or the traditional methods, which allows us to take advantage of small custom orders. So our quick customizations on just different events that may be coming up. Being in Las Vegas, we're in a prime market where events like that happen all the time. And then just going into next year, the gaming, we've expanded to gaming uniforms. Right now, we're solely focused on spa, entertainment, and just in that vertical. So we expand to gaming, and then phase 2 of data would be the predictive analytics of the AI. So based off of region, location, we can recommend different textiles, different fit for the bodies, the body types. And
yeah, and just to paint some color into it, so one of the clients we're working with, 4 Seasons Mauritius out in the Seychelles Islands, This particular buyer happens to buy for all of North Africa. So, we want the employees to have breathable fabrics, things that fit, and also are culturally appropriate for different regions. And in addition to disrupting the supply chain and procurement, the later phases of Daya, we will be able to white label it and sell it as a SaaS subscription with services as well. So it's massive.
And just to touch on that point, initially, this will be used for internally and for our premier customers to speed up their procurement process. But ultimately, from the phase one, our flagship customers will be able to log into a customer portal and use this and it automate that process on the back end.
And let's talk about some serious traction, guys. The market is so hungry for this. These are all the logos that we are currently preferred vendors at. I did this as a one-woman show leading all of these sales, and we are raising to scale for sales and marketing. With companies like Venetian, it is so hard to get in and to become a preferred vendor, but Tao loved working with us so much, so they recommended us to the Venetian. And we've also been recognized by certain publications as well. Oh, I forgot to also add that the traction slide has 4 years of sweat equity. We have made a significant self-funded investment of almost $500,000 to get this company to where it is today. We have a first mover advantage, not just in the apparel product, but also the AI build out that we're going to do. And after the trade show that I mentioned to you guys that I had Q4 of last year, we came back serendipitously. One of our new uniform partners had asked if we did uniforms in November. So we said yes. And that was where we got contracted to do bartender shirts for 5 of the largest hospitality groups on the Strip, banquet dresses, and much more. Since bringing in uniforms, our sales have quadrupled. For Q1 this year alone, we're already at $150,000 of founder-led sales. Imagine what we could do with an amazing sales team who's connected. We've already penetrated properties on the Strip, so we need the capital to really grow that and to take off. And we're also in discussion with companies like Resorts World to do all of their housekeeping uniforms. We're going to be doing all of the new uniforms for IU and Zoot Club and many, many more.
And just to point out, just where that arrow is pointing where uniform started, that 3-month period is exactly that time that it took from the back and forth with the renders and the designers to get approval. And then we saw the fruit of our labor in March, which took to that increase. So we already have some of our customers that we have identified that would pilot out the MVP version of the Daya AI as well.
And let's talk about our team. So I have over 20 years of global partnerships with the Fortune 100. My lead advisor, Arne Aron, former CEO of North Face, former CEO of Board Riders, who owns Roxy, Billabong, Quicksilver, and more. He led their $1 billion+ acquisition to Authentic Brands Group 2 years ago. Amy Cunha has worked with companies like Liverpool, who currently does $800 million in ARR, and many other luxury brands. And Alvin, I'll let them tell you about your experience.
Yeah, so I have over 15 years of quality assurance experience. And then here recently, I was co-founder of AI Squared. It's an AI startup where we raised over $20 million from a $6 million seed and $14 million Series A, where we were building software platform that integrated machine learning to end-use applications. So a large part of the use cases was around generative AI. So when I met Denise, that whole, just kind of merging the whole pain points together. And
yeah, we literally met at Lifetime Fitness because I overheard him talking about closing his seed round. And so that was just the genesis of how we met, and it's just been a really good fit. And this is a massive market. Fiori 3 years ago raised over $400 million. We all know Cisca, Cintas, and Figs. These are the companies that we're competing against. We have a better product than them. And on top of it, we have already established brand equity with people like the global director for all of Marriott, the global director of Accor Group, who owns Fairmont and Sofitel, which has over 6,500 locations. And those are just a couple of the people we're already working with. And this is also one of the clubs that is going to be opening up. But just to show unit economics, for a project we're working on, the project value of it is actually higher than what is shown on the slide. It's almost $100,000. This particular head of operations oversees 33 properties on the Strip. Each property buys uniforms 1 to 2 times a year. This is just one client. Imagine what happens when we look at 15 of the properties that we work with on the Strip and put in this multiple.
So that brings us to our ask. We're raising a seed round of $2 million to be able to scale. Right now, it's been all Denise. You know, I just came on in January to help build with the product because I saw a need, I saw solutions. So figured we can help her. So she needs a sales team. We're in Vegas. I mean, this is spa entertainment capital of the world. So there's plenty, and she has built the, like she said, brand equity. So build a sales team, build the product out fully, and just build the underlying infrastructure to support that.
Yeah, and we're actually on track to hit over $1.5 million in revenue this year alone. And our plan is for 2026 to hit over $5 million of revenue. So I think that concludes everything, right?
In the social.
Oh, wait, next one. Yeah, there you go. So thank you, City of Las Vegas. We'd love to have you on our cap table, and we're really excited to be a new innovative company, just like Zappos was to come out of Vegas. So thank you so much.
So we have arrived at the end of here we go, at the end of our pitches. So let's give another round of applause to all the founders who pitched today. So there is a lot on the line, and the investors, as you can tell, are going to have a really difficult decision to make. But they have an advantage. They've spent, as Marissa told us, the better part of 5 weeks doing due diligence with each of the companies. And for those of you who are not familiar with how AngelNV works, the folks who are the investors put $5,000 or more into the fund. We go through many meetings to narrow the field from over 100 companies down to the finalists. We break up into teams that are affiliated, one with each of the finalist companies, and then the teams and the founders go to work doing due diligence. And that ends up here today. So for those of you who are just in the audience that are here watching and cheering on, we want to get your input into the Audience Choice Award. And I think there's there's the QR code there. So please, even if you're an investor, get that QR code, vote for your favorite company based on what you saw pitched here today. And so we spent 5 weeks conducting due diligence on the companies, their markets, the technologies, the competitors, the customers, the financials, the valuation in the companies, the investability for a venture scale return in each of these companies. So you all can also pick your favorite. And so use the QR code. And the question I always have every year is, will the people's choice be the same as the investor's choice? It's interesting. It's never matched. It's never matched. But that's the advantage of doing due diligence. So from here on out, the angels, the investors, are going to leave the room. Are we going downstairs? I think. Somebody give me. I think just pay attention as we leave the room. The investors, I believe, our conference room is downstairs. We'll get together. We'll debate. We'll vote, and we will be back here by 3:30, 3:35, and we will announce the winners. Andrew and Eric and John will round you up when it's time to come back into the room. We'll get started again no later than 20 to 4. Then we, at that point, Maggie and Josh will welcome you back. And from there on out, we'll hear from the governor's office, and then hopefully by then, Secretary of State will be here to help me award the big check. So we will take our break now for voting. Investors, please exit and go downstairs into the voting room. And everybody else can either hang out here and listen to the interviews, or go back out and grab some food. And you can come back in here, but you can only bring water back into this room. So Maisha, Jesse, or at least Jesse. I haven't seen Maisha yet. Oh, there she is. Yay, Maisha.
Testing.
Hello.
Hello.
Got it. Okay. 7 minutes? Yeah, that works.
Whoa. Okay, we've got some
Yeah.
time.
Got a lot of time. So pleasure meeting you, Marissa.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here.
Yeah, very nice job.
Yes.
Well,
Oh my God,
Excellent
thank
job.
you.
yeah, definitely. So we definitely want to know a little bit about Build Q. So Essentially, you know, when I first learned about Bill Q, I love the phrase, every dollar that goes through renewable energy, we want to touch. I love that. So as far as the story behind Bill Q and how the founders came about, could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So similar to what I mentioned in my pitch, I've been doing this, working in this space for 8 years plus. It was a long journey to kind of renewable energy industry. And at the beginning, I'm far from home right now. I'm from East Texas, grew up kind of humble beginnings, food stamps, Section 8 housing. But for some, and I only mention that because, you know, growing up in those circumstances, you learn work ethic, you learn how to, you know, go through walls that others haven't, you know?
Absolutely.
And that really has informed the way that I approach entrepreneurship and building this business. Nothing will stop it. Nothing will stop us. From there, I had the opportunity to go to Harvard College and study social anthropology. Much to my mother's chagrin, she wanted me to be a doctor. Alas, I got a job straight out with a renewable energy advisory company, one that was pioneering the space, the brokerage space for renewable energy, helping some of the biggest companies in the world close on multi-year, 10+ year investments in new projects. I did that for a couple years at that firm in Boston, and then moved over to Level 10 Energy it was a startup, had just raised its Series A. I was the 15th employee. And from now, I'm really happy to say that that company has just raised a $65 million Series D, helped grow it a lot. But ultimately, I wanted to learn more about some of the biggest challenges that all of the developers I spent all day talking to were facing around project finance, around deal flow. And so I went to law school, went to Stanford Law School, moved to the Bay Area, loved it. Love Las Vegas more, I'll just say. Absolutely. And continued working in the space. I wanted to learn. And so I worked for a global solar energy company, helping to acquire and finance solar projects across the country. And what I realized was, this is hard. This is really hard, and harder than it should be. And perhaps it was a product of living in Silicon Valley, but I thought, well, maybe technology has a role to play in making everyone's lives easier. In my work, actually, too, at the same time, I had the experience of working with arrangers. These are traditional brokers, essentially, of project financing transactions, and they were charging us $10,000 to $25,000 a month and 4 to 5% transaction fees on the capital that they helped invest in our projects. And I thought they were just as slow and they were too expensive. Again, technology had an opportunity with the right wedge, right? The right product could also disrupt that industry by facilitating this ecosystem and the transactions between counterparties much faster. And as a result, make someone who built the right product a lot of money, frankly, in this space. And that's what we're doing at BuildQ. I came across after, it was while I was studying for the bar actually last summer, that I met my CTO, Robert Schmidt. He had just left a company that had sold or been invested in by Goldman Sachs at $1 billion valuation. He was the right person to build this, someone with experience scaling teams of hundreds of engineers, building a product from 0 to 1 that was secure, robust, in an industry that we hope to capture one day. So beyond renewables, going into all energy kind of project infrastructure, real estate, and beyond. If there's steel in the ground, we want a piece of it, and we're going to help do that. So
for you, Marissa.
thank you.
I think it's important that you just take a moment to give yourself a pat on the back. To come to this point after experiencing so many barriers in life, being able to overcome those, and then to be able to build a business. Like, I mean, the amount of guts it takes to sit up here and present yourself and something that you've created in front of a group of strangers. I just really want to commend you and hope that you take this moment to just kind of congratulate yourself. Outcomes are important, but they're not the full story. And so regardless of what happens today, congratulations for making it to this point.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
Kudos.
much.
Yeah, absolutely. So just talking a little bit about the operation of the company. I'm a brand new client. Can you talk to me about one, how you found me? Two, what does that sales cycle look like? What is an experience with your organization?
Yeah, great question. So to date, being so we're launching in the summer. A lot of the outreach has been based on like from my Rolodex of the 2,000 developers that I interacted with every day in my role as a broker previously. And so it's as easy as a text message saying, "Hey, it's me. You remember me. You saw me speak at a conference a couple years ago, right?" Reaching out and saying, "Hey, I think I have something that I'd like your feedback on." And inevitably in the course of the conversation, we spend 5 minutes talking about, God, what a pain in the butt working with these like spreadsheets is. In due diligence, the founders out here today have experienced this in part, filling out that due diligence checklist, right? It took a lot of time, right? You had to link documents to like line items. Well, multiply that by 100. These checklists are long and tedious, and we built something that automated it. I was tired of it. Built something to make it seamless with AI. And usually from there, it's a pilot agreement. So the revenue we earned was to give feedback actually on the product that we were building in exchange for early access to the product once it's launched. And people tell me that's crazy trying to sell a product before it's ready, but we've done it. Be crazy because you kind of have to be in order to make your dreams realized. And here we are.
Very nice. I love that. Be crazy.
Be crazy.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that our time? Oh my gosh, I talked for a long time.
Not at all. Thank you,
you so
Marissa.
much.
Absolute pleasure. Good luck today.
Okay, we have Christina and Erica Cranel.
Cornell?
Yes.
Beautiful.
I love that. Like Chanel. Okay.
Yes.
Love
What a pleasure to sit with you both. Welcome, welcome. Nice job today.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
look at that. Thank you so much.
Be sure to eat
I
before you
appre-
drink. They're very acidic. She's tart.
Very nice, very nice. Actually, so funny story. I did some little research before I coming here and went to YouTube, and I saw a lot of the interviews on YouTube. One very specific had a
Oh.
uniform. All right.
You can
That
look
I-
on our TikTok for that
right,
too.
right, exactly. So kudos to you. With that being said, you guys have done an astounding job. So
Everyone's wondering what the uniform is now. You'll have to
Yeah,
look
you
at
gotta
it.
go to see it.
go see it. Exactly. So tell me a little bit about, and I know you said you're at work, but for people like myself, right? Tell me a little bit about how the thought process of creating Reno came about.
Yeah, it was really born out of necessity. Eric and I were both working full time, and alongside 60% of women, 30% of men, we suffered with urinary tract infections. It's the #1 cause for hospitalization in the US. It's very common. And for us, we just saw that there wasn't enough on the market. You can either take daily cranberry pills, sugary cranberry juice, or antibiotics. Over 25% of women are resistant to antibiotics in the US because of UTIs. And, we saw this problem. We were maybe a little bit delusional and thought we could conquer it. And so we really rolled up our sleeves and started it initially as a side hustle.
And I would say that. Oh yeah, a lot of these products and UTIs, they're really considered taboo. A lot of people think that the only way you can get them is by having intercourse, and that's just not the case. The majority of people get it because of their anatomy, their urethra, people are growing, menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause. If you don't produce enough estrogen, that's what fights bad bacteria. So it's really stigmatized for no reason at all. And we wanted to also create a brand, which is how we've built this following, about talking about things that are happening in women's bodies and saying that it's actually happening to all of us and it shouldn't be stigmatized.
Yeah.
And to that end, can you talk to us a little bit more about your target customer? Because if there's this misconception that it's only this type of person that engages in these types of activities, who else are you targeting?
Really, everyone. Crenell, I think we talked a little bit about it, tends to be like cranberry is synonymous with UTIs, but there are many other benefits as well. It
Right.
has more antioxidants than most fruit and vegetables. It's great for muscle recovery. Like a lot of people take tart cherry juice. Cranberry is actually more effective for that in terms of polyphenol. But in terms of UTI, it affects women from all stages of life, from infancy through to being elderly.
Yeah.
We attend assisted living conferences. People take it when they are going, growing or getting older.
Yeah, really about all that bacteria, but it's really other issues as well. Bacterial vaginosis is a really big problem in women. It's the #1 infection, and so yeah, it really supports all these different issues.
And I think one thing that we always say is like cranberry is incredibly anti-adhesive. So a good example is it can reduce plaque by 90%.
Oh, wow.
And because of that, it's like if you're getting UTIs, you probably have like a gut health problem. Cranberry is incredibly effective at clinically supported to help gut microbiome. And, we didn't know all this when we started. When we first started, it was just for UTIs,
Sure.
kept selling out, kept getting amazing reviews. But those reviews are what really exposed these other use cases. Women are reaching out to us like, I've had gut health issues for 10 years. It's the only thing that helps. We're like, okay, send it to the lab. Like-
Yeah, exactly. That's really how it happened. It just evolved over time.
Very nice. And you mentioned this cult following, right? Everyone who tries it has really had astounding reviews. How do you plan to keep that moving? What's the marketing look like going forward?
I mean, I think we're going to continue to be just as we always been. We're really trying to also insert ourselves as founders more in our story and be vulnerable. I think a lot of people trust us because we talk about these issues. The majority of UTI companies were founded and run and owned by men that are not going through these issues. So when they put, red dye 40 in the AZO tablet, they're not the ones that it's like processing through their bodies. Whereas we talk about all this stuff and we're really vulnerable. And, if you look at all the comments on our TikTok, it's all like, why am I just learning this now?
Sure.
And, when we talk about these things openly and we show people that it's not, it's happening to everyone and it shouldn't be a secret and you shouldn't be ashamed, I think that really builds the trust with the people. Which is what we want to continue to do.
Yeah. And I think just leaning into, every other UTI product feels very medicinal. You have to buy it under like the limited lights at CVS, whereas this, it comes in like a beautiful box. It's a beautiful bottle. You unbox it. You don't feel shame around this really common issue. And I think that's the biggest thing that's really important for us and for our customers.
And that makes a big difference, changing minds
Yeah.
and changing perceptions around health issues generally.
Yeah.
So that is a service, I think, outside of it's
Totally.
intended, right?
I mean, we have hats, we have merch refill, and they say hot girls drink Cornell.
I
And it's
love
true.
it.
They
You
do.
might need one of those for your TikTok.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll give you some.
Okay. So right now it's available for purchase through subscription, but there are plans to expand beyond, or are we already there?
We sell one-offs on our website. And we're on Walmart.com, we're on Target Plus and Amazon. So it is available. It's really, we actually started without subscription. We started with the one-off purchase, but we had so many repeat customers that we introduced the subscription and added a little discount. Just because it is so preventative and it helps all these other issues that women just wanted to continue to take it.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, we do want to stick with the single SKU though. We like online, we get the best margins that way. The majority of our customers come from that. So yeah,
Yeah, we tend to encourage the subscription as well because I mean, it just takes time for people to notice a change in diet to reflect in their body. It's usually 12 weeks. So that's really why we encourage people to like take it for this period of time before you kind of make a decision on how it helps you. But yeah, you can buy it one off as well.
This is amazing. Thank you all so much for your time.
Okay, you guys
Love
have hats
today. Yes, the
Thanks so
hats,
much.
we'll take them. We have
Yes,
we
thank
have a
you for
TikTok
having
schedule.
us.
We got you covered.
Amazing.
All right.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we have Kamal from FiberX. Did I say your name right? Kamal. Got it. Okay.
Hi, Camille.
Oh,
Welcome to the hot seat.
I'm looking forward to it. How's it
Looking
going?
forward to it as well.
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. You
Good.
know, just
So-
taking things one day at a time, right?
I love
Can't
that. I
complain.
love that. First and foremost, I got to congratulate you, right? It sounds like you're doing some very big things.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Partnering with NASA.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Yep.
fantastic. And then the U.S. Navy as well.
Yeah.
That-
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
It's been a blessing.
So talk to us a little bit about the story behind the company name as well as the logo.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a really good question. You know, frankly put, the name, you know, is associated with what we've seen happening as far as, you know, in the aerospace community and kind of pushing the space. We knew that there's a lot of preconceived notions when it comes to a lot of different things. You know, Tesla and SpaceX and stuff like that is out there. And so, you know, we seen what was available. Obviously, you know, the core of our function is fiber. And we knew, you know, obviously associating with that X has stood for that connotation that we talked about, that positive reinforcement bias. And so we've, you know, seen that FiberX was available for us. And just off the name, it's helped with some credibility and things like that. But we feel like it's explanatory in the sense of our core function that utilizes fiber optics. And then where we want to go is into this axis where there's innovation and things like that. And so that's kind of where the FiberX, you know, name came from. And as far as the logo, you can see kind of a line that continues to go. And that really comes from the continuous different avenues in which we can go. Rather it's aerospace, rather it's offshore turbines, rather it's satellite. There's multiple different areas we can go. And that's what that line that doesn't stop alludes to.
So within this, there's going to be hard to access areas in order to get through detection, all that. Is there drone usage? Talk to us about some of the ways that you're able to combat.
Yeah, no, for sure, which it's a really good question, actually. What makes this unique is that the current solutions that are out there utilizes things like drones and stuff like that. However, if you're in an airplane, you know, you're not going to be able to detect corrosion or structural fatigue with a drone flying side by side, right? I say that rhetorically, but that's what separates our solution is that our solution attaches to the infrastructure itself. And so we're not limited in scope. Rather, we're underground for, you know, missiles. Rather, we're in space for satellites. So rather we're on bridges. This solution attaches to the infrastructure itself. Therefore, you're not limited in that retrospect.
Very nice. So AI, right? That's kind of the premise.
Mhm.
How does the AI actually detect the corrosion itself?
No, you guys are great questions, right? So the AI isn't detecting the corrosion. What the AI is doing, it's analyzing the type of corrosion and where that corrosion is. So what detects the corrosion is the fiber optic sensor. So that sensor itself determines strain and pressure movements, right? And so if you take a physical infrastructure and you apply these sensors to it, whenever there's a change, we call it a strain phenomenon. You have an initial benchmark. Obviously, things are going to fluctuate and move. When it settles, if there's some sense of variable that doesn't go back to its initial benchmark, that then cues that there's an issue going on. And that analysis is where AI comes into play to determine what type of structure fatigue is going on.
So what type of companies use this product? Like give us the gamut. Who's
Yeah.
touching this?
Yeah, so as far as companies, a wide range, and that's what presents a unique opportunity, is that any type of company that operates within critical infrastructure, rather it's offshore turbines, rather it's satellites, rather it's oil and gas. And so, you know, Chevron, you know, wide range of different oil and gas companies in which we have a pilot with a smaller oil and gas company. And then growing companies, right? Facebook, AWS, all these entities that are trying to supply this energy demand within this artificial intelligence space. They're all companies that's going to need to utilize a type of solution that we have to protect critical infrastructure and dangerous infrastructure at that.
Very nice. As far as competitors are concerned,
Mhm.
talk to me about how you're different. What makes you the best in the space?
Yeah. So what makes us the best in this space is that this is a non-invasive solution. And so you've heard me reference a lot of times, this can happen during the manufacturing of the critical infrastructure or post. A lot of solutions that are out there typically are using two different things. They're either using visual inspection or they're using sonar. Those are the main two things that are being used. Obviously, we know the problems with visual inspection. You know, offshore turbines spend $200,000 a month just to climb these huge turbines. This is something where it allows for 24/7 continuous monitoring. monitoring, and then you can actually see from the comfort of your device, rather it's a phone, computer, and see a 3D rendering of your infrastructure and see where that minute infrastructure fatigue is starting to happen. So that's what separates it from obviously visual inspection. But with sonar is limited because its main variable operates off of sound. And so if you're operating off of different types of applications that has huge sounds, that's when it's very difficult to control for that variable, rather it's planes, et cetera. And so what separates us in conclusion is that it's a non-invasive solution that allows for 24/7 continuous monitoring, where our administrator doesn't have to utilize so much manpower and put them in precarious situations.
So working with a lot of small businesses, startup businesses, we're often talking about the strength of a business being able to identify where there are gaps, holes, and limitations and creating innovation to solve them. This seems like right along that line. Like you saw that it's being done, but it's not being done effectively. It's not being done efficiently. What advice do you have for somebody starting a company? You've created something very innovative that has the ability to just take off. What would you say the next person?
I would preface with the core of our technology was invented within the U.S. Navy. So our team member Armin is the one who invented that out of the Navy. We were able to get an exclusive license with that. But I think the big thing to answer your question that we've looked at is what is going to be needed as, and I said it in the presentation, this whole landscape is always evolving. One thing that I want to look at is what's going to be something that's needed from an infrastructure standpoint. So everyone's doing AI, which is awesome. What's going to power that, right? There's a bunch of transactions. Like I'm always wanting to find the key areas that's going to be needed, rather ChatGPT or OpenAI consume something else. They're going to need something that we have, because as OpenAI, Meta, and all these different types of companies are building, they're going to need something no matter what that we're going to have. And so for me, when it comes to innovation, it's trying to find that one area that no matter what, as things change, they're going to need that. And for us, it's going to be, defense and protection. And that's what we're focused on.
All right. Food and beverage, defense and protection.
Food,
Always going to need
beverage,
it.
agriculture, water, all the main things that we need to provide. We need to survive. That's going to be
Necessities.
food. That's going to be water. That's going to be protection. That's going to be health. That's going to be shelter.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time with us
Absolutely.
today.
Great job.
Good luck.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it.
All right.
All right. Magic Door, Casper and Ying. Oh, just you. Great.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello.
Hey, is it Casper?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Nice
Very
job
nice
today.
job. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Good. You should.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Disrupting the property management space.
Yes, it's a fun space to be in. It's very different than my normal space. So before this, I was actually in Prime Video. I owned the whole ingestion pipeline for Prime Video, and it's very different space, but the tools that we use are very much the same, because I own the whole ingestion pipeline for Prime Video. So when you get a movie in, let's say Avengers Endgame, it's not just a movie file. It's subtitles, thumbnails, character bios, director's cut, like all of those accelerated stuff that comes in, like even contracts with where we're allowed to show this movie. So I was responsible for ingesting all that stuff. And at Amazon scale, we had about 1 million different entries a day that had to be verified, quality controlled, but we only had 17 operators. How can you do that? The only way you can do that is by streamlining their workflows and then using AI to enable and automate as much as possible. So then one of the first AI models that I built out was a model that detects mouth movements in videos. And then we would look at subtitles to detect if there was no subtitles when there was mouth movement. And then we could, instead of having a person manually verify the subtitle, we could now just flag the ones that we thought had an issue, really reducing that amount of time spent. And that's really what I apply to property management, because there's a few competitors out there, but none of them comes with the background that my team has and how we can do this at scale and how you do it securely. One of the biggest things is that all of my competitors, even if they do AI, there's a company called Elise AI. Their minimum contract is $20,000 a year. So if you have 100 units, you can't afford that, right? The reason they have that is because the way that they build AI is inefficient, because they don't have the skill to work at that scale. my AI bill last month with about 1,500 units, less than $10.
Wow.
So that's really the difference in how you can build stuff.
Yeah, that's a huge differentiator, I'm sure,
Yeah.
for the market.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for
Yeah.
sure. So you mentioned your competitors,
Yeah.
right? And as far as the time scale, obviously the cost is concerned. Tell us a little bit more about, and artificial intelligence piece of that. How do you differentiate yourself?
So our differentiator really comes in building a homogeneous platform rather than point solution. So there's a few different things to this, but I think overall, one of the big things is that all of our competitors, they outsource core principle and all the extra features as solutions that you can buy within those modules. So they provide like a platform that other some software companies pay money to be on, then to be able to sell to the property managers. And so there's a module for pet screening, there's a module for rent collection, there's a module for vendor management, there's a module for everything. And that's why I was at a conference, RentCon, 2 weeks ago, and I look around and there's so many companies selling small things. So one of the biggest term coming up right now is app fatigue, because people are so tired. All of these like subscription costs $4, $5, $10 a month, right? It adds up a lot very quickly.
Yes.
And in the industry, like the whole reason I started this is because I'm an owner manager myself. I own 32 units across LA, Las Vegas, and Florida. And as I grew my portfolio, I kind of realized, hey, I need to use software. Like using spreadsheets is not going to work anymore. And I called up Folio. They just told me nope, we don't want to talk to you. You don't have enough units, right? And I actually managed to get on one platform by lying a little bit, but my onboarding cost was $17,000 to be allowed to put 32 units on that platform. And my average bill a month was $28 a month if we aggregate like just the core package that I needed and the service that I needed and all the extra charges. If you aggregate that out, it becomes like $28 a month. And imagine if you are a property manager, the average rent in America is about $1,000. The average property manager fee is 7%. So $70 you make per unit on average. You have to pay $20 of that in software fees. It's crazy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. That's again, the innovation that's in the room today. I'm just so impressed by it. You see the issue and you put something together. So part of my question, and you've just mentioned that you have this history that allowed you to bring a solution to market. But how much time outside of the past job did you put into building this solution?
So I put about half a year in while I was working at my last job. So I was an engineering manager at Amazon, so I didn't have that many hours, but I worked like 6 a.m, bed again at 1 a.m, right, for half a year. I went basically full time with this in April of 2023. And we put my own units on the platform in December of 2023. And we started a public beta test in April of last year. And then we launched the product in December of this year. So we have to be super careful because we're building a big platform, because we cannot just build one thing, because then we're just another one of those apps. If you really want to truly automate, you have to own all the core products within property management.
Sure.
I'm completely fine with onboarding, pet screening, and that kind of stuff because it's auxiliary. But if you need to own like leasing, rent collection, maintenance request, vendor management, and tenant communication, that's really important. So that needs to be allowed and really be functional.
Sure.
We move hundreds of millions of dollars every month. Because of all that volume, right? So we need to make sure that every cent is counted for. So that's why it took us a little bit longer to get to market. We need to really make sure that this is viable and working.
Those 32 properties probably paid off as you rolled that out. So
Well,
you could practice.
those is the one that's paid for Magic Door. So
Very nice.
yeah.
Well, we definitely have just a little bit more time, but I want to ask you one more question. You mentioned that you're a property manager yourself, and there's a target market, right? What is exactly your target customer?
We do support everybody. We build it to scale, but we identified our niche in the market is sub 250 units.
Okay.
Because nobody's serving them right now. Like I said, like if you call up Folio and Billiam, they're not gonna care about you. So go off, right? And if the ones that actually will allow you is going to charge you so high fees that you can't even get on them. Like that 17,000, there's no AI in it. right? So if you want AI as well, there's only really two options. And one of them is Elise AI, had to pay additional $20,000 a year minimum contract for that. So with 32 units, there's no option. And 60% of the rental market in America is managed by property managers with less than 100 units. They have no options right now. So those are initial market that we're going after.
How will you
Very
market?
nice.
How are you going to get them?
So mainly marketing, of course, on Google. We're seeing a lot of like feedback from that.
Okay.
Basically, every cent we put in Google is equal to $1 back. That's why we try to be very economical with our marketing. That's why we only have a $11 acquisition cost per unit, which is fantastic. And we demo very well. Like people come in and see a product, like 45% demo conversion rate is fantastic. But we also do a lot of podcast, a lot of influencers, stuff like that. For example, there's a lot of podcasts to focus on people who want to go on like buy multifamily homes, buy fourplexes, like want to start an investment. Those are great people for us to get a hold of because they come in, they don't have a lot of requirements, but they come in, they use the product, and they grow over time with us, right? And those kind of units, like those kind of people who have less than 100 units, so that's also new up and coming property managers. Like if you start out as a property manager, you don't go out and get a deal of 200 units right away. You have to slowly build it up. And you don't have the tools to actually manage them while you're building it up. So we're getting a lot of those in as well. And that's like marketing on Reddit, marketing on Facebook that kind of get us those people.
Very good.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well,
Well,
thank you.
Yeah, we wish you
Appreciate it,
luck
Kat.
today.
Thank you very much.
so much.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Thank you. Okay, Denise from Dia, thank you. Is it just you here today? Oh, you're like, no, I don't want to do this. Here you go.
We're not scary, Alvin, if you change your mind. Hi, Denise.
There's
Good to
Denise.
see you.
Thank you.
Very nice job.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as the business is concerned, I know we started off with swimwear, right? Was uniforms always in the plan as far as the transition is concerned? And could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, do I need to look anywhere here? Okay. It was always in the plan. I actually wasn't planning to do uniforms until 2027. The previous idea was to really get the consumer facing part of the business really off the ground because we did have a first mover advantage there. But in Q4 of last year, we had all of our clients asking if we did uniforms. And then there was also another player in the market who I heard they don't sell into spas, but they wanted to get into the spa industry. So think of all the spas at all of the Marriott properties, like B2B spas. So that was just my cue that it was time for us to start doing uniforms. And I also thought that if we were able to scale the uniform vertical quickly, there might be a chance for a quick exit with this other competitor who wanted to come into the space since we already have equity there.
So I want to pull it back even further. I am always so curious in people's origin stories. What turned you into an entrepreneur? What got you into the business? And I know you've been able to now continue to grow it and add product lines, but I really want to hear what pushed you to start.
Well, I think that's a lot of things. I do think I've always been entrepreneurial at heart. And when I worked in the corporate world, I was just very resourceful. So a perfect example is my last corporate job, I worked for a company called Ipsos. It's one of the top 3 largest, most prestigious market research firms in the world. So I was in a specific vertical and we were pitching a big project to Levi's for a multi-year project, and I needed to work with data scientists because we were going to be presenting a new methodology. And I wasn't a researcher, I was focused on like partnerships. So I went to the team of data scientists and nobody could come up with a solution that the client wanted. So even though I wasn't a researcher, I came up with a solution, and I also won the project competing against 15 other potential people. So, there's just, I think it's a need for problem solving. And then with my journey of entrepreneurship, it truly has been about seeing where there's big gaps in the market and filling the void. It's not just to like, oh, I like fashion or this. It's not that. It's solving a problem and having a mission-driven impact while filling it. Yeah, and even when I was little, I played softball and I'd sell candy bars to support the team, all of those things. And I've been working since I was 16. So I got that hustle.
Natural born entrepreneur. Love it.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. So my background specifically is in economics, and when we hear anything as far as AI is concerned, I don't care what Fortune 500 company it is, but the market skyrockets, right? We love to hear AI at this point in time, and you have really pivoted to find an AI space in what you do. Could you tell us a little bit more? How does AI actually encompass within what you do, and
Yeah.
how does that separate you from your competitors?
100%. So I do see it as a complement to what we are doing and also a disruptive component to what the business is. So basically, the way that people are currently buying uniforms is it's really old school. And in addition, the vendors they work with have really forgotten about customer service. So the AI tool that we are going to be building will change all of that. So it'll make things very seamless and easy. So instead of having all this back and forth, and I think I mentioned in my pitch, I'm literally going to go meet with a client after this because we're closing out this time sensitive project. So we want to eliminate all of that. And also for the stakeholders that we work with, it makes it easier for them to present things to their ownership or decision makers. So it's really about making our clients perform better for the teams that they work with, and then also creating an end product that is better for the person who's going to wear it.
We're seeing a theme with efficiency today, and I think that's where we're moving. I think that speaks a lot to AI and why
Absolutely.
people are so attracted. So talk to us about your target customer, because started off in swimwear. Was it female facing only? Did you have male clients at the time? How is it moving?
Yeah, so with the swimwear, it was female facing. Then we had our buyers asking if we did men, so we did that. But now with Daya in the hospitality sector, we are focusing the growth in luxury hospitality because we are already have partnerships with so many luxury groups. But after we raise our seed round, we plan to do a Series A 18 months down the road where we'll go into other verticals. So eventually there's utility workers, people working in the kitchen, because at the end of the day, everybody needs something that feels comfortable and is breathable. And currently the uniforms they have are like cheap poly blends that rip and things like that.
And that's huge for Vegas and the variation weather that we see. I can only imagine that there's a demand there.
Absolutely. And selfishly, swimwear, uniforms. Is there any thought to going anywhere else, like suits or anything like that?
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, it's really
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I can only use one.
It's really just responding to what the market and the customer wants, and if that need is big enough.
Okay.
And it's really cool too because our manufacturer, so we have a group of manufacturers in LA, but our head one, they do everything for Aviator Nation, a lot of the biggest brands. So we literally can do anything and make it better.
Love that. Thank you. Thank you.
So have you worked with any children's lines yet? Is that anything we're looking at in the future?
Yes, it is actually. I do have some ideas that I won't share here, but later, but it's in the pipeline as well.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do the breaking
No,
news,
it's
but I'm like there. I can see so much need. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see your growth. You did a phenomenal job today.
Absolutely.
We're really
Very good
grateful
job.
to have you up here to talk a little bit more. And good luck.
Yeah.
Thank you. This
very
was fun.
nice.
So
It's a
thank
pleasure
you.
meeting you.
Right.
Yeah.
I think so. Or Val, Mio, right? Organics. Is that Me Organics? Oh, hey. I was looking for the long beard. I guess you trimmed it from the picture.
Hi.
Val, welcome.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Very good job.
Hey,
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much. That's actually my first speech ever.
this is your first speech.
Yes. Well, we met with these great guys in August, I think. Like you see.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, that's
So you've
very
been
nice.
practicing since August, but this is your first.
I'm trying to get better.
You did a
Yeah.
phenomenal job. I don't think anybody in the audience would have known that this was the first
Considering
time
that
up.
I prepared yesterday. Thank you.
Yeah, you even got laughs out of the crowd. I was
Right,
impressed.
right.
So
Very
anyway,
efficient.
yeah,
Due to
there you
some
go.
miscommunication, I thought that I would be participating into the next year's AngelNV 6.
Well, you did a phenomenal job today. We're really excited to hear
Very
about.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Could you talk to us a little bit more about how you started? We'd love to hear that story.
Sure. We started in 2020. That's not the best year to start a business. And we started initially with XP Maps. Originally, it was called expedite permits at that time, because we were trying to offer a direct service for the carriers, for the motor carriers that are supposed to travel with extra legal loads, you know, like wider than their trailers or higher than their cabin, so on. You need separate permits in order to travel. So you have 50 states, that means 50 types of permits, 50 sets of requirements and regulations for each of them. Now, there are requirements when you are applying for these permits, and there are requirements for the traveling for this load. It's a different set of requirements. Now, all of this is various factors that influence on this delivery, on the time delivery. Now, my idea is pretty simple. Are you familiar with this expression that the speed of your brain equals to the average of the slowest speed of your cell, like the brain cell?
No.
Are you familiar with? Well, I mean, there is such an expression, you know, if we from a society standpoint. Now, my plan is pretty simple. The slowest moving loads or vehicles on the road, if you're familiar with those big orange signs, oversized loads, those are usually the slowest moving ones, you know.
Okay.
And if we'll make them move faster, all of us will move faster.
So speaking of slow moving, did you mention a fax machine? Because we've been talking about AI today, and then I haven't heard a fax machine reference for a good decade or so.
It's even funnier to think that there are drivers, you know, that they never work with fax, because fax is something pretty old. But Vermont, unfortunately, and they said that I wouldn't say the name, the only way to get a permit for them is to send in a fax request, a permit request using fax machine.
That is wild.
Well, to be fair, California, which is separate from the US, is a top global economy. They used to receive fax requests for permits until last year. So
wow.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're about a year out of fax machines.
There is even funnier places like Oregon. Oregon receives permits only over the phone from permit companies, you know. So I had too many times I had to explain to the drivers why they will spend their weekend in Oregon waiting for the permits.
Well, this just sounds like a shout out to Nevada. That's all I hear.
know, right? Good for us. Good for
Good
us.
for us.
Could you talk to us about the percentage of trucks that are actually oversized or overall?
Sure. So our specific trailer types are step decks or open trailers, you know, step decks, RGNs, or just flatbed trailers. You can set it as most of the type of the trailers because they are universal. You are not carrying only oversized loads with them. You are carrying any type of loads, you know. It's not about the number of the trucks or vehicles on the road. It's more about how the industry grows. Like decade over decade growth for trucking industry, it's 25%. And it's not varying, it's 25%, decade over decade. I mean, I can bring the receipts. If you remember, Jeff said that someone previous year was stating that, trucking is like 800 billions.
Yes.
No, since 2021, it was 860 billions and up. And I can show you all the reports for each and every year. Like, that's what I do.
Very nice.
It's amazing. So let's just say you knock out all the departments of transportation. They're all on your list. What does that look like? How does growth for this organization continue to grow?
Well, the final plan for Me Organics is to develop this permitting service as a tool to refine it for the DOTs.
Okay.
Like, I am creating this project only to solve the impediments for the XP maps for our original product that is working with motor carriers direct, you know.
Yes.
So shout out to Carrier OK. These guys have a pretty detailed data set from Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Like, we have the complete database of violators since 1994 for any state that you need, be it for size violations, weight violations, or any other type. There are more than 40 types of violations there. We just filtered out for the past 5 years top 100,000 motor carriers that made most of the violations, you know, and that's how we start our marketing.
Very nice. Very nice. So talk to us a little bit about revenue. How does that come about? How does recurring revenue come about? Any thoughts there?
Well, recurrent revenue, main client and only client for now, like profit generating client for Me Organics is XP Maps. So it's also our company, but we are just perfecting the product that XP Maps is already working on. So we started XP Maps also in 2020. For the first couple of years, we were closer to zero than, you know, plus to generating profit. But currently we have surpassed more than $124,000 in gross revenue. So from zero. Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
great,
That
very
growth
good.
is growth.
only for permits, not any extra features.
Amazing. So when you look at this business growing, becoming more and more successful, do you think about your exit and what that strategy may look like?
To be fair, maybe I have that kind of mindset that if I start something, I want to do it for as long as I live, you know. But again, Me Organics developed itself from it needs to be exist as a solution from FMCSA. Me Organics exists only because of MCSA that it does not have proper tools to make this federal overview for oversized movements in the US. You have state authorities that are overviewing them. We don't have a federal administration to oversee that.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Well, Val, we appreciate it. Thank you for your time and best of luck to you. Great
Nice
job
job.
again.
Yeah, I feel like
yeah,
this will be the first of many speeches
for
that you
sure.
give.
For
You're
sure.
born for it. You got it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, last but definitely not least, is waiver here, Rich? No? No,
today.
well, thank you guys.
Thank you. We'll wait for the group to come back in and we'll be
We will.
receiving results here shortly.
And then there's food and drinks. There's an open bar, just an FYI, down the hall. But yeah, we'll just wait for everybody to come back after the votes.
That sounds great.
Jeff, other Jeff. Okay, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Maggie Sailing, and AngelNV is my favorite program. We get to shepherd founders through a program to learn about due diligence, and then we get to shepherd new investors through a program to discover how to do due diligence and how to invest in startups. And then we get to come together today and listen to the pitch and then award some funding. It's very exciting. So I want to thank the people who step up even more than the angels who enter into this program and with a lot of uncertainty. And then some of them, even first-year angels, step up to be due diligence leads, which is a tremendous undertaking. It is a lot of research, a lot of cat herding, and then creating a very long report for the rest of the angels to view and make our decision. So the people I would like to thank as due diligence lead are Miguel Vasquez, Nathaniel Armour, Mary Perescavopoulos. She is one of our freshman investors who stepped up, prodded by her husband. Josh Curtis, he's been with us since the beginning and has participated in every AngelNV. David Yokin, and is David still here? Well, David also stepped up, Madeline Feldman and Sarah Callison, another freshman who decided to be a lead. And thank you all. Josh Curtis was also instrumental in recruiting a lot of new investors under the Nevada Certified Investor Law. It's a great law that was signed by Governor Lombardo. And before we get to that, though, Josh has our People's Choice winner.
All right, here's our lovely People's Choice Trophy. It was very, very close. Do we want to do a little drum roll? The winner of the 2025 People's Choice Award was Build Q. And then we do a picture. Yeah.
Near the file.
Oh, no problem.
No, I am going to now introduce. I mentioned the Nevada Certified Investor Law that was passed in the last legislative session, and Governor Lombardo signed it into law in June, I think of 2 years ago. 1 year ago. Anyway, it's been a long while coming with the process to actually enable people to be Nevada certified investors. And so this is our first program that is utilizing that. And from the governor's office, I am so pleased to introduce Sonia Hoya, and she is the director for Southern Nevada for the governor's office.
Good afternoon. What a pleasure it is to be here. The governor would have been here himself had he been in Southern Nevada and was not able to come, but obviously signed the investors law and is so pleased. But I wanted me to mention that this has really taken off even more so than we could have imagined. The mentors, the coaches, the investors, the supporters, just the activity. This is exactly what we had hoped that this bill, that this signing and this policy would have done, and it's incredible. And so on behalf of the governor, we just want to make sure that you all know investing in Nevada is a good bet. So thank you for everything you do for business, for Nevada, and for helping startups. It's probably the most important function of all businesses to help other businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia, and thank you to Governor Lombardo for noting this occasion. And I'll also note that the law originally was introduced by Speaker Yeager, and the folks who actually worked closely on it is going to be my co-MC. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this guy here in the next couple of minutes, but our current Secretary of State was instrumental in getting that law home. And speaking of home, we're almost home. Just a little context and a little math before the big moment. Startup NV is a nonprofit organization with education and economic development missions to grow a vibrant ecosystem that diversifies the Nevada economy. And to make that mission possible, we operate educational programs and encourage the creation of privately funded for-profit venture capital funds and syndicates to invest in promising startups. Remember those numbers that I started the afternoon with. We've invested $11 million in 23 startups that's now valued at about $50 million. That's about a 5x value of the original investment. So investors that have been with us for a while ought to be happy. I hope they are. But wait, there's more. Other funds have joined our investments along the way, like Nevada's SSBCI program and others. They've added another $23 million to our 11. So that's about $34 million that our groups and the people who have joined us have invested at the pre-seed and seed stage level in Nevada's deal flow in about 4 years. Now, we'd always like those totals to be higher, but that's not bad. I mean, considering where we started from, I mean, $11 million turned into 50, not bad. So if you're wondering how to be a startup investor and get in on the action, just visit our website, startupnv.org. You can click the investor button. You'll end up talking to me. Fund NV2 and 1864, this fund, are filling fast, but we're going to be continuing to raise for them for at least the next several months. And I'm also the co-president with Maggie of the Sierra Angels. And that's a group of 30 to 40 families that are doing traditional angel investing. They've always historically been out of Incline Village up at the lake, but we're expanding this year into Las Vegas. So if there are people here who want to join the group, again, speak to me. We have 2 of our angels, Sierra Angels here, Darwin and Dimitri and Mary, are all part of the Sierra Angels as well. We'd love to have you involved in that as well. Now, my co-MC for the remainder of our session today knows something about being of service to our community. It's my great pleasure to welcome Cisco Aguilar, the 22nd Nevada Secretary of State, as our distinguished guest today. Now, I have a quick story and a little bit more intro about how Cisco and I first met. He was launching a company called Blueprint Sports, and he called Startup NV. And he left a message because, you know, we have one of those Google Voice numbers that leaves a message. If I happen to be at my computer, maybe I'll pick it up. And we had another young guy that was supposed to be picking up the messages and calling back, and we never called him back. Okay, so a year or so goes by, and he's elected as the Secretary of State. And then the folks at EDON then introduced us, and then he got my cell phone, he called me up, left a message. Of course, I called him back immediately. That was an embarrassing conversation. But we got along, became colleagues to work on AB 75, which is that Nevada Certified Investor Rule. And AngelNV 5 is the first fund. I know that from Aaron, the person who actually does the regulation to do that. But the secretary, he brings a unique blend of that business acumen, and as our chief elections officers, he's demonstrated the same entrepreneurial spirit that drives many of us in this room. Founding organizations like Blueprint Sports, serving on, I don't know, you must be on like 75 boards. And now he's overseeing the crucial infrastructure for our state. So I love the fact that you're here. I love the fact that we get to work together on stuff. And please welcome the Nevada's 22nd Secretary of State, Cisco Agra.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Jeff, thank you. Maggie, thank you for what you do for our business community. It is so critical. And all of you who are here today, wish you the best of luck. I know you're probably in nerves a little bit, wondering what the outcome is going to be. And I'm aware that the announcement, I am between you and the announcement, so I will try to make this quick. But again, with events like this, really drives our economy forward. It drives our state forward. And the fact that the governor, the speaker, and I could come together and pass AB 75 to help strengthen entrepreneurship is what Nevada is about. And we continue to need to do that, to work together. This is not about Democrats or Republicans. This is about our business community. There is no R or D on a business, and we need to remember that. All we care about is the net income and the return to investors, and that's what we need to focus on. Small businesses make up 99% of businesses in Nevada, which is 45% of our workforce. I don't think people understand what that figure means and what organizations like Startup NV mean to that number as well. We need to continue to grow that because we know small businesses are the ones that employ our economy. And government shouldn't be a barrier to business. I've said this every time I'm in a room with business leaders or government officials. We need to make sure that we are doing what we do as government officials to make your lives easier. You should not have to expend exorbitant resources to do what you do. You should be able to do what you need to do. We get out of the way and you go do what you do well. And that's make money. Because the more money you make, the better off this economy is going to be and better off the state's going to be. And as you know, I understand raising capital is a significant effort. It's hard. I remember doing it for Blueprint. And I can say now I'm not involved with the company anymore because I got elected and had to step aside. But to watch something grow from an idea to a concept to actual existence. And a couple of weeks ago, the company acquired the biggest competitor we had in the marketplace. So Nevada is making a presence known within the sports world, and that's beautiful. I also too have to apologize to all of you entrepreneurs and business people who've had to deal with my office and deal with the Silver Flume system. That system, must be honest, is a piece of junk. And we have spent the last 2 years fixing the system. We have fixed 600 bugs. Could you imagine a system, all of you who've developed technology, who use technology to generate revenue, if your system did not function and continued to fail, you'd be out of business in a second. And I don't understand why we allow government agencies to exist that way. We have fixed those 600 bugs, so now we can do a complete replacement of the system. So phase 1 of the system will be done this summer. Phase 2, which will be the actual corporate filing system, will be done in January of 26. So you can get in there, do what you need to do, and get out. One of the things we're asking the legislature to do this session is to give me greater authority on fees, not because I want to raise fees, but because I want to decrease fees. So when we went to the hearing, everybody was up in arms because they thought I wanted to take control of fees because I wanted to increase them. So I offered an amendment. I said, look, we will agree to allow me to decrease fees or eliminate fees. And if I want to increase fees, I come to you. And so we came to that agreement. Hopefully that'll pass. But again, it's government being responsive to market conditions. Right now, we're in a battle with Delaware to be the state of incorporation. I filed at the Delaware Supreme Court case. Thank you. So Delaware's going through a case with TripAdvisor, who's part of its ownership group is in Nevada, to move to Nevada. And Delaware said, no, you cannot do that. And they made a bunch of reasons why they couldn't. And I thought, this is crazy. So I intervened. We filed an amicus brief. Delaware Supreme Court actually ruled in what we argued, and they made it known that Nevada is a place to do business. For the Delaware Supreme Court to recognize what Nevada's done to build our business environment was a strong, strong effort. And now you're starting to see those businesses flow into Nevada, but we need to be better. There's an effort right now to create an appointed business court, which will give us a greater leg over Delaware. And so if you talk to your legislators, you talk to anybody within the legislature, please advocate for the appointed business court, because that will really help Nevada continue to grow from a business perspective. And I'll stop talking now, but I just want you to know my door is open. If there's anything I can do to help you, please call, please get a hold of us, because we want to make sure that we're giving you the ability to keep fighting, keep dreaming, and keep creating, because without you, we will continue to grow bigger. So thank you. Have a great day.
Okay, and that bill has a very sexy name called AJR 8. So please, yeah, support that. All right, so here we are. We're at the big moment. And I got to tell you, it was a tough slog for the investors to try to decide. And I know, Marissa also sort of spoke for herself and some of her fellow founders by saying, yeah, that was a tough slog for them as well. So thank you to all the founders for slogging it out with the investors. And at the end of the day, we've picked a winner. We've picked somebody that's going to receive a $300,000 investment that will be matched by Nevada's SSBCI funds. And well, you can see what I'm going to say.
Yes.
And that winner is
Build Q.
Congratulations, Marissa and the Build Q team. Say something?
Oh.
Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. A year ago, it would be hard to imagine standing here in Las Vegas City Hall accepting this check. I was on the road to go to Skadden to practice project finance, to be in the project finance practice in DC. And at the end of the day, after slogging through, actually used to use that term, a due diligence checklist, financing a project, I thought, no, I don't want to do this anymore. We can change things. We can unlock billions of dollars of capital by streamlining these processes with technology. It is, after all, what it was meant to do in the first place. And so Jack, my fiance, is here supporting me today. And I thought, well, where do we want to start a business? Where do we ultimately want to be? And we moved to Las Vegas. We moved to Nevada. And I'm so glad that we did, because the startup ecosystem here, led by Jeff, Maggie, Leith, the rest of the angels here, have been really incredible. It's been a welcoming experience, and I can't wait to meet more of you over the course of the journey here. This is the next big company. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to grow here. Appreciate it.
Okay, well, we will take lots more pictures in a minute, but I wanted to thank everybody for coming out today. Thanks to all the founders. I'm sorry we didn't have money for everybody, but thank you everybody for coming through the program. I can tell you that there have been several companies that ended up getting investment from FundNV and through our syndicate that didn't win the first time at AngelNV and ended up ultimately raising money from us. So don't give up. Remember that speech where I had that really cool Robert Frost poem in the middle of it? Don't give up. keep working and stay in touch. And for those of our angels who came out to invest, thanks so much for coming out and investing and making this program successful. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to say a big thanks to Maggie. She is the person who actually makes all of this work. So I don't know if she's usually not in the room when I do this. Always. She won't believe that I actually thanked her in front of everybody, but thanks. If you do have a chance to say thanks, she's the one that actually makes all of this work. So please say thanks to Maggie, and thanks again to all of you who are here today and who have participated with us in AngelNV 5. Thank you. You are free to go.